Hey, how are you doing? Hang on, let me just get some music up. I hope you guys are good. Let me just get some music up here. So, yeah, today's been interesting. Once again, the police have been very helpful, which is a bit of a surprise because they're normally about as helpful as a dick flavored sweet. But, um, yeah, some new developments have been coming up with regards to this situation. Is my speaker
The
on? Yes, it
Armenian
is.
people, the Lydian people,
Sorry about this.
and the Syrian people came to
Just
this.
get some music on here. So, yeah, basically, what's happening is actually very familiar territory for me. Um, the people harassing me are actually having a breakdown at the minute, only this time they happen to be kids. So, what usually happens is this, okay? So, what usually happens is I get loved bombed by the neighbors, or the neighbors engineer some kind of situation, some petty situation to escalate a fight. And then what happens is that during that fight, I do get angry and I do, get wound up and stuff like that. But when I do that, they don't get the reaction that they wanted out of me. So they do get me angry, they do get me ranting, but because of what I say and because of how my anger manifests, they can't really count that as a win because it kind of goes against them. So what they'll try to keep doing is they'll try to keep winding me up, looking for a way in which my anger will actually benefit them, but it never happens. So what ends up happening is that the people who are the most invested in harassing me, now, like I said before, it's not usually kids, it's usually, no, actually it is, it's usually women or children, but mostly women, right? What happens is that the perps get so invested in trying to get a win out of my anger, that it doesn't matter whether I break down or not. It doesn't matter if I get angry or not. It doesn't matter. Like, none of that matters. What matters is that they didn't get the results that they needed from that anger. So, in a bid to try and get a rise out of me, what will happen is that they will have a nervous breakdown. I've seen it before. Um, I don't mean to do that shit, but it's just that when I get angry, I don't give people any like wiggle room to actually, like, I don't give them an opening in which they can sort of slip through and get one over on me. So that will literally kind of drive them crazy. And I think the kids are having a nervous breakdown. I think it's getting to a point where they're having a nervous breakdown because they can't get a rise out of me like that. I think it's actually starting to affect their mental health. But once again, this is something that I'm used to. This is something that I'm familiar with. I'm going to be really honest with you. I've talked about electronic weapons. I've talked about psychotropic weapons. And I wouldn't be surprised if those were being used on the kids in order to get maximum results from the harassment. Because that's what's been done to other perps in my life. They already had mental illnesses, so those mental illnesses were augmented in order to make them more violent or make them more angry or make them more anxious in a bid to kind of get the results they needed from harassing me. So I wouldn't be surprised if I wasn't the only one, being fired at, because it's happened before. I mean, it's happened before. I've been fired at, but the perps have been either been fired at too, or because they're the one operating the weapons, they get more of what the weapon actually does than I do. Let's just say, for example, somebody had a directed energy weapon in their home, right? Usually, when they fire the weapon, it has to go through them and then it goes to the target. Now, the target is probably going to be like a few 100 feet away from you when you're firing it. So, they don't get as much of the weaponry as you do firing it. So, with perpetrators that have used electronic weaponry, when it comes to strokes and cancers and heart attacks, the people firing at you are most likely to get it than you are, which is why There's more experimentation with more remote weaponry and more remote methods. You understand? So yeah, sometimes when when perps are kind of coming after us, they can end up being more affected than we are, because at a certain point, like, we just start getting used to it. We go through our emotional crap, we go through whatever the mental health brings us, and then we kind of hit a plateau where we're like, okay, that happened, that wasn't great, that was horrible. Okay, so we're gonna find a way to pick up the pieces from there. But we keep getting new perps every time. Wherever a TI is moved to, we get new perps every time. So the same cycle happens over and over again. And the more the TI gets used to the abuse, is the worse the perps actually get and the crazier that they actually get. So this is the thing now. Like, this shit can actually affect the perps worse than the TIs. And that's what I think is going on now. I think the kids are having a mental breakdown because they can't get me angry anymore. But this is the thing. I don't think the people upstairs are firing any weapons at me. That's the thing. If anybody's firing weapons at me, it might be north facing, but I don't think it's anyone close, because that would be too obvious. Okay? I've made stipulations before that, that there are people firing the weapons and stuff like that, because I've heard stuff through another wall saying don't put it on too much because I don't want to hear her screaming. I heard that a few months ago. But when it comes to this particular situation right here and now with the harassment, yes, it's a mental breakdown happening. I've seen it before. They're breaking down mentally, because I've already had my freak out. So it's like the freak out was supposed to bring a specific result, but it didn't bring that result. The freak out was supposed to get me evicted out the flat almost immediately. It was supposed to get the whole community basically rallying behind the family, but it seems to be like only a select few of people rallying around the family. It's not really like the whole neighborhood, because like the other neighbors here, they're fed up of the shit. They're just sick of it. They don't want to hear it anymore. The other neighbors, like, they don't necessarily care about me like that, but they just don't want to hear the shit. They don't want to hear slurs every day and swearing every day and somebody being tormented every day and arguments every day. They just don't want to hear that shit. So the other neighbors have had enough of it, and I was worried that the whole community would hate me because of what this family had been going around saying and doing. But now I'm starting to wonder if that's even true anymore, because these people are losing their shit. These people are losing their shit. So I'm starting to wonder if that's even true. I'm starting to wonder if I wasn't just being paranoid. Because if it was true, if it was remotely true and the whole neighborhood hated me and people didn't believe what I was saying, then why are the kids having a nervous breakdown? The same thing's happening over again. Like, I get fucking set up, I start telling the truth, and then everybody starts to question shit, and then the perps start having a nervous breakdown. Yeah, it's happened before, man. This is familiar territory to me. I mean, I've made a couple of reports to the PC and everything, so like, I'm going to keep making reports. I'm still going to keep making lives. I know the police are watching my channel, so they'll know that if they hear anything over the lives or anything, or if I start saying, oh, they're doing this, they know that I'm telling the truth. But yeah, no, full on breakdown, man. This is what it looked. Hey, how's it going? I'm gonna wave. Yeah, so yeah, the perps are just having like a massive breakdown right now. Um, yeah, so that's what's happening. But again, it's something that I've been through before. I've had breakdowns as a result of being constantly harassed and everything. But then because I always like, it's not that I find a way around it or find a way out of it. It's just that I always say if somebody's gonna pay to upset me, then I'm gonna get paid to be upset. I don't go looking for shit, but if somebody starts up with me, I'm gonna finish it. That's how I am as a person. So when something starts up with me, I make sure that physically, Bella, I'm wondering what happened to her, because the thing is that I haven't seen many videos from her. What happened? What happened with Bella? I'll wait for you to comment, then I'm going to continue in a second. Alright, you'll comment in a second. So yeah, the perps are having a full-on breakdown waiting for rants and stuff like that, but I'm like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter whether they get rants out of me or not, because they're going to do the same thing tomorrow. She's on Instagram but never posts. Okay. But yeah, it doesn't matter whether they get a rant out of me or not. They're going to do the same shit tomorrow. Basically go into a full-on mental breakdown because I'm not reacting the way that they want me to. I mean, it is what it is. She made an update video like a year ago. She made an update video. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. Sometimes people can get sick of YouTube, and just move on with their lives, but I hope nothing's happened to her. I hope nothing's happened to her. Hey, shout out to Mindgarden5723. Yeah, talking about Bella from YouTube, who kind of her last upload was a year ago and nobody's seen her since. It's one of those things where you don't know whether a TI is basically just sick of posting or whether they've died or something, because even though the UK TI community is pretty tight knit, everybody pretty much knows each other. It's some of them kind of just disappear off the map and you don't know what's actually happened to them. So yeah, it's difficult. But yeah. Yeah, they're having a breakdown up there. They don't even realize they're having a breakdown. If you're waiting every day for somebody to make an internet rant about you, you're having a breakdown. You're losing your mind. And it's a damn shame because these people are young. They're not even fucking... Tina... Is that woman Swedish? Tina Planky... I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I'm going to screenshot. I ain't going to try to pronounce that shit. But, yeah, so, they're waiting for rants and stuff. Like, that's a breakdown. That's a breakdown. Yeah. That's a breakdown. Those kids need to be evaluated. I'm sure. Yeah, they need to be evaluated, man. I shouldn't cast aspersions because they're only kids, and the last thing you want as a kid is to be medicated that fucking early. But you never know. You just never know. I don't even like medication, let alone medication being administered to kids. But no, that's a breakdown, man. I've seen it before. What they're doing is absolutely mental illness. Yeah, it is. When I confronted the family about what was going on, it was basically a mother, a teenage kid, I think she's a teenager or a young adult, and the little boy. And they said that they had mental illnesses. And the thing is, most of the perps that I've had to deal with have been mentally ill, because I've had psychological injury, and I've been falsely diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. So all the perps that I've come into contact with, they have usually been mentally ill 9 times out of 10. Like, even when I wasn't living by myself and I was living with my family at the time, there were always people who had some kind of mental illness harassing me. And then there were electronic weapons being fired, like, on them as well as me, heightening their anxiety or heightening their anger or heightening their violent impulses and making them obsessively harass me. So, yeah, it's mental illness without a doubt. Without a doubt, it's mental illness. And they said it themselves, so. But I don't want to do what perps do to me and be like calling the police and being like, oh, I think they're mentally ill. I think they need to be evaluated because they're bothering me. Like, I'd rather just deal with the harassment as harassment and not fucking bring their mental health into it, because you don't want to be in fucking hospital, and you especially don't want a child to be on medication early. That's one of the reasons why I say it's important to know who the fuck you are before you have a kid. Because if you don't, and you don't prepare for these things, it will bite you in the ass later. It will bite you in the ass later. You can't be waiting around for, like, you can't be like 5 to 7 years old, or like 10 to 11 years old, and and constantly all day every day be taunting somebody who is almost 40 years old, waiting for them to rant online. That's not the actions of a well person, regardless of their age. That's not the behavior of a well person. But I don't want to be one of those people being like, yeah, medicate her, because it's like, nah. Ask anybody who's been on medications from an early age. It fucking destroys your hormones, and they're poor. So imagine fucking being medicated that early. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that is mental illness. The irony of being called crazy by people who are actually crazy. Although I don't like to use that word. But anyway, I gotta go, you guys. You take care. Love you. Bye-bye.